Welcome back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm Ryan Woods. I'm here with my usual guys, Brandon Rabar, Spenser Davis. How we doing, boys?
Doing awesome,
Good.
man. We got a week before the draft here. It's a great time.
I just got out of ball, and now I'm ready to talk about ball. Ball is life. Let's do this.
we are exactly 1 week away. Well, recording this late Wednesday night, so about a week away from the draft. This might post Friday, who knows? But we are very, very close. That means we need a guest. Tonight we have with us Daily Thunder contributor Aidan Eldrod, coming all the way from the West Coast. We are covering 3 different time zones with this podcast, coming to you from all over the place. Aidan, how are we doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. I'm excited to be here and do some mock drafting.
Absolutely. We are mock drafting tonight. Aidan has been pumping out some really, really interesting profiles on a lot of the guys we're going to talk about tonight. I'm sure he's going to share some of that as we go along, but definitely get to the website and check that out, dailythunder.com, and check out what Aidan Eldrod has been putting out. Really good stuff. All right, guys, it's time. We've been waiting on this one for a while. We've been holding it off. We wanted to get big board stuff out of the way. Wanted to get a lot of conversation about a lot of players. We've been talking so much offline about this draft, and it's time to, we're holding a lot of this stuff for the podcast, so there will be a lot of surprises, I would imagine. Guys have been prepping. So here we go. I am going to kick us off first because it's a very boring pick and you don't want to hear from me. We're going to get to the other guys for the really, really interesting stuff. I will go first, followed by Spenser, followed by Brandon, and then Aidan, our guest, will hit cleanup. So with the first pick, no shocker here, Victor Wembanyama to the San Antonio Spurs. Gasp, pick yourselves up off the floor. Can't believe it. But yes, Victor, number 1. Any comments? Anybody want to just gush about Victor? Welcome him to the Western Conference before we continue.
I will say I'm very excited for these, these years where we're going to get Victor versus Chet. Vic's obviously a different level of prospect, but I think, Chet's he's going to get to a point where he can hold his own. And I'm just really excited to see, those matchups however many times a year. And then in the playoffs eventually, hopefully.
My only hopes were that Wembanyama would go east. That didn't happen. Or that he wouldn't get picked by the Rockets. So, hey, 50-50. Win one, lose one.
We were holding our breath. About the Rock.
That was a tough commercial break. I'm not gonna lie.
It was. Aidan, did you have any landing spots for Victor that you particularly wanted or didn't want?
Well, I definitely didn't want the Rockets. But I was kind of. I mean, if it wasn't gonna be the Thunder, I was kind of a little bit indifferent. But I'm excited to see him in the West, just because. Like Spencer said, I'm excited to see him play against Chet. They played once before in a really close game at the U19s, and they're 2 pretty unique players and should be having some great battles, hopefully, in the playoffs.
Something that I haven't heard anybody mention yet, if the NBA does get a couple expansion teams and they do realign divisions, it would make sense for OKC and the Spurs to end up being in the same division, and maybe we get 4 Chet versus Wemby games per year. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, off to number 2, the Charlotte Hornets. This will be Spenser Davis making the pick.
All right, this is not what I would do, but it seems like this is going to be Brandon Miller. Jonathan Givony had a report, and maybe it was in some other places the last couple of days, that Scoot Henderson had a very impressive workout in Charlotte. not really buying that. I think that this is going to be Miller. And so even though I have Scoot in like a different tier, but I think this is going to be Miller. So I'll go with him.
Spenser, how did we get here? Here as in Scoot is like good. Scoot would go number one in almost every draft except for this one too. He's probably not going to be in the first two picks.
Because the Charlotte Hornets are run by Mitch Kupchak, who was a great general manager like 15, 20 years ago. Like he's the guy that engineered a lot of those Lakers teams that Kobe won titles with. And he's still, I mean, the press conference he gave the day after the lottery was, we're good enough that we don't, that we can draft for fit and we don't have to take best player available. And
that's
so I think
that's when you know.
I think it's, that's when And I think he's just at this point is in over his head a little bit. And, they do have another point guard technically with LaMelo Ball. Now, I think that LaMelo and Scoot could play together. It would be fine, especially given that LaMelo's, like 6'7". I think it'd be a great fit. I think it'd be a really fun backcourt. But yeah, I mean, like dumb franchises do stupid things. Like Luka, 3 teams passed on Luka, and everyone knew in the moment that was a mistake. I think this is kind of a similar thing with Scoot possibly falling to 3.
This one's very tough for me. Tough as in like I can't believe it's going to happen. It does seem like it's going to happen, but I'm very surprised. Brandon, do you think this is going to happen?
I think that the Hornets are crazy if they choose Brandon Miller over Scoot, honestly. And I don't know, everybody thought that Jabari was locked in as the number 1 pick last year. That's what we heard all the way up until, 5 minutes before the draft started. So I still think it's 50-50, even though I know every single signal says that it's going to be Brandon Miller. I still give it like a 50-50 chance, like that they'll come to their senses and it'll be Scoot. Plus if there's a chance that somebody jumps up and trades, then it would make sense that it would end up being Scoot.
Brandon's like, fool me once. Well, it's fine. It won't happen again. Brandon's got his antennas up for this. He was rocked by the Paolo Jabari situation. I love it. Aidan, are you going Brandon Miller here?
If I had to guess,
you mean? Sorry.
I was going to say if I had to guess, yeah. But I personally would choose Scoot for sure.
Okay, so we're all in agreement there. So
although
go ahead.
I'm kind of hoping for that Pelicans trade to happen.
Let's talk about that. Who are the teams other like Pelicans? Kind of out of nowhere are looking to move off of possibly Zion, possibly Brandon Miller. Some conflicting like who would they rather see go reports right now. What does that framework look like, Spenser?
I mean, if I'm New Orleans, I'm not trading Zion, but I would trade Ingram for Scoot. For sure, especially given what their cap situation looks like and how expensive that team is about to be. I've never been a huge Brandon Ingram guy. And I think if you can, kind of clear the deck with him, bring in a hyper elite talent with Scoot, and you just hope that Zion can get back to the level of being like an all NBA type of player, which we've seen flashes of, but, not enough consistency, obviously. But I think that's their best shot at becoming like a real problem in the West is because, they like this team is about to be so expensive. Like they've got CJ on the books. They're about to have to pay Trey Murphy, like $35 million a year. That's coming up pretty soon. They've got to make some moves. And I think it would be smart to try to flip Ingram into Scoot. And I think I would even add a pick or two.
That's going up to, you've got that going up to 2. So if Charlotte's locked in on Miller, is this a trade with the Blazers? Or
I think it makes more sense with the Blazers because Ingram just, he fits with Dame, right? Like the Blazers could sell a Dame, Brandon Ingram, Jeremy Grant trio. I think that works on some level. Charlotte, I mean, who knows what they want, I guess. Like, I mean, I guess they're going to bring Miles Bridges back, and like Ingram fits there too. And Ingram is from North Carolina. So there's some synergy there. But I would prefer like with the Blazers, I think you could sell it a little bit more in terms of like, you're trying to maximize Damian Lillard's prime. Charlotte should just take Scoot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like there are other teams that may be trying to get one of those two picks, especially if it's for Scoot. If they sniff out that Charlotte's, maybe unsure and don't want to make the wrong call, maybe they just trade out for like a team comes in and just overwhelms them. Kind of thinking about Washington as well. Totally new front office, and seems like Beal is very available, and it's something I wouldn't expect him to waive a no trade clause to go to Charlotte, but possibly Portland.
Possibly, but like, does Dame move the needle for Portland in a meaningful way? I'm not sure that he does, because you're building a defensive backcourt around Dame and Bradley Beal, and then Simons is probably going the other way, I guess, or is going elsewhere. It's a trickier fit than with Ingram. Bradley Beal, his contract is so.
It's rough.
I'm not with his contract. I'm not even sure, and I'm pulling it up right now. Guys, he has a $57 million player option 4 years from now.
Yeah, Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
And and they have Shaden Sharp and they have Simons. Like, Beal doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, if you have the third pick and that's what you cash it in for, that to me that just doesn't make. But like Siakam, that makes some sense. There's some other options. If Scoot's there and they want to trade for Zion, that could make some sense because Grant can shoot. You could build around that. You could figure that out. But no, Bradley Beal doesn't make much sense to me. Honestly, and the Hornets are if I was the Hornets, I would like rank my assets. Like, first, I would choose to pick Scoot, but if I'm not picking Scoot, and I could flip 2 for Zion, I'd rather have Zion than pick Brandon Miller. But it looks like they're going to go Brandon Miller. It's wild. This is also a rare thing where, Scoot would go number 1 a lot of times. He might drop to 3. And there's also all these teams that are willing to trade back or out of the draft for win now players. It's such a rare mix of things that are happening. We could see some shakeup, or, this thing could go chalk and there's no big trades.
Everything about Charlotte seems backwards. Like, the second pick for them in this draft feels more valuable than anything they have on their team, including LaMelo. Like, I don't know. I really don't know why this isn't like a slam dunk. We're just taking the best player, or we're going to take a massive offer that includes Zion.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if Zion, I don't even know if Zion's available. Like, you know what I mean? Zion's not a player that it becomes available very often.
That's the smoke. Who knows? This is smokescreen season and, rumor season, whisper season. Other GMs, rival GMs and scouts, and, everybody's putting stuff out. Who knows what to believe? But, the streets are saying Zion's available. And if you look at, his injury history, contract situation, and all those things, if I'm the Pelicans, it makes some sense. I would flip Zion for Scoot, quite honestly.
Streets are saying a lot right now about Zion.
They are.
We got some rent to pay. I don't know if he can leave New Orleans yet. All right. Where are we? We're 3. We're going to Portland. This is Brandon. We're going to get in trouble here. Go ahead, Brandon.
And so obviously, if Brandon Miller's second, and we're not doing trades here because it's too hard to predict, I assume. Portland, whether it's Portland or some other team, it's going to be Scoot Henderson. There's not much to say here.
I agree. Like, Aidan, what's the play there for Portland if if Charlotte goes Brandon Miller, does that mean Portland immediately trades out of 3, or does that, what do you see happening there?
Based on what I've been reading, it seems like they would stay there. It seems like Dame is still trying to be loyal to the franchise, and I think that pair or just that combo would do well. Scoot could potentially be smack dab in his prime when Dame kind of starts to slow down. I think Dame's like 33 now, and so in 3, 4, 5 years, Scoot will be hitting his peak and can just slide in as a replacement as the lead guy and hopefully bring some playoff success to Portland. But I mean, it's kind of hard to come up with a trade because I don't know who's out there who I would trade for Scoot except Zion.
Yeah. Yeah. Spenser, in this position, same question to you. Like if it's Brandon Miller at 2, like they can definitely sit there and take Scoot. That might be the best play long term.
Yeah.
Is that enough to appease the fan base, appease Lillard? Like it seems like they've got a lot of different mouths to feed there.
Yeah, I mean, look, they can take Scoot, and if Dame doesn't like it, they can trade him in a few weeks or trade him next year. I mean, they have options, right? It's like taking Scoot, he's probably going to be more valuable in a year. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you need to make a trade, then you can do it then. But like, you can't. I mean, you certainly can't take anyone other than Scoot in this spot. Your options are take Scoot or trade the pick, or take Scoot and trade Dame. Or take Scoot and just go with a Scoot, Dame, Shaedon Sharpe backcourt until you do trade Dame or until they age out or whatever. That's probably what I would suggest. I think as a Thunder fan, who's a division rival of the Blazers, I would like for them to do anything except take Scoot Henderson in the spot. I think anything would be better from that perspective.
This feels like the pick that gets.
That's probably what they should do.
This to me feels like the pick that gets moved, and we're a week away. But this feels like the one as we stand now. If there's one that's getting traded, this feels like the one.
And I think Ingram makes sense. I don't think the Blazers should do that necessarily, but he is. I don't know. Is he the best player they could Would you rather have Ingram or Siakam? I would hear arguments for either side, I think.
I'd probably have Siakam.
Okay.
But what if the Timberwolves called up and offered Cat?
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
And that actually makes some sense.
Yeah.
For both
I don't
sides.
think I would do that.
Man,
yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Scoot long term, but if you're trying to appease Dame, like a Dame, Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe, Cat team, Simon's in there too. Like that actually, I mean, obviously you probably have to send Simons out to match salaries with Cat, throw in some other whatever, but that actually could make some sense.
I'm worried about
Scoot and Anthony Edwards would be wild.
That would be a lot of fun. I'm worried about Cat's approach to, or not approach, but just his how he sees himself, his self-awareness. He said something wild on a podcast this week where he was like, they're going to look back at my career and realize that I changed the game of basketball. It's like, it hadn't happened yet, man. And he's been in the league for a while. You're not on. I would not say he's on pace for that. And he's had some other stuff like that before. It's like, I don't know if that guy really gets it. But maybe he goes to Portland. It's Dame's team, and it works. Who knows? But that is an interesting one.
So far we've got Victor obviously at 1, Brandon Miller 2. Scoot Henderson 3. We're talking a lot of trades here because this is very up in the air who picks 2 and 3. But that's what we've got so far. Now we're going to Aidan, pick 4 for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, so not predicting anything in free agency, like a possible James Harden comeback, but at 4, I would take Amen Thompson for the Rockets.
What do you like about him?
I think he's an incredible athlete. I think he's a really good passer, playmaker, can generate some easy paint touches and kick it out to open shooters. His defense is pretty good. It's not elite, but it's pretty good. And his jumper is terrible. But I'm just gonna take. I just think he can. At the top of the draft, I want a franchise player, and I think there is an outcome where he is an MVP-ish type player. Just because I think he's like Shea mixed with Jalen Green and is like 6'7", and I just think it's such a unique combo that you can't pass up on it at 4.
I'm with Aidan. Guys, where are you at with pick 4?
Yeah, I agree. I would take Amen Thompson here. I know Brandon's he may have Amen Thompson outside of this top 10 by this point. He's dropping like a rock over there. But yeah, I mean, just like I said about the Blazers situation and what I want them to do as a Thunder fan, I would love it if the Rockets took Cam Whitmore here, because the idea of like Jalen Green, Amen Thompson backcourt is, if they both hit, which is not a guarantee by any means, far from it. But if they both hit, that's like the most dynamic backcourt in the league, and I don't want any part of that. So yeah, I think Thompson's the right pick.
Brandon, you seem like the dissenting voice. Where are we going here?
No. I want the Rockets to take Amen Thompson because I have him like down to like number 9, and that's only because of like peer pressure. Everybody says I have to have him in my top 10. So no, I mean, as Aidan said, the jumper is just so bad. And look, I know he's an otherworldly athlete. I know he's a decent defender and he's a good playmaker. I just don't know with and here's the deal, everybody knows he was 20 years old playing against high schoolers and still just was not, in my mind, as dominant as I'd like him to be. But still, I do agree. If you're picking 4, you want that upside, you want that ceiling, and you want, a possible superstar. And I do think that he is those things. So yeah, it makes sense, but good luck, Rockets.
Just a quick counterpoint about the competition level. He has played in like other games. Like he played in a game against Mega Basket, who plays in the Adriatic League, and he had like 18, 10, 9, 5, and 5. And then he played in the TBT tournament, and he played well against grown men. OTE is definitely not the best competition, but I think he has a handful of games against some tougher competition where he was able to showcase what he could bring to the NBA.
Brandon's like, well, Brandon, how would you compare his competition to like the plumbers and firemen that like they used to play against?
Like I agree actually with what Aidan's saying. I'm just saying I would be worried if I was the team with the number 4 pick taking Amen Thompson. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I'd feel obviously better about Victor and Scoot and Brandon Miller. There's a reason why they're top 3. But once you get past that, most of the players in this draft have a discernible weakness, and for Amen it's shooting. I don't know. It's rough. I mentioned this I think in our last podcast, and I can't get over it because I saw his jumper and somebody said it looks like he's shooting like a half court heave when he shoots a 3-pointer, and that's what it looks like. I don't know. He'll be a good player, I think, but I would be worried if I was taking him at 4. That's all I'm saying.
last thing before we move on, Spenser, better prospect coming into the draft, Ivy or Amin Thompson?
That's a fun blindside. I would say I'm more confident that Ivy is like going to be a good player, but I lean upside wise. I would lean Amin Thompson just because of the top 1% athleticism. Probably definitely a better passer too in the half court, at least his prospects. Yeah, I would, but I'm, if you're looking for more of a sure thing, like I think it's reasonable to go with Ivy. It's a good comparison.
Athletically, I remember Ivy just popped, especially among the like top tier guys in last year's class.
Yeah, but
it feels like
think
Thompson is like another dude.
Yeah, like Thompson. I mean, Aidan may be able to speak to this better, but like, it seems like he's a jaw level athlete. Like, is going to be like an immediate problem. Whereas like Ivy is a very good athlete and can get above the rim and can get out on the break, but like maybe is not as much of a walking paint touch in the half court.
Yeah. I had Ivy at 2 last year, and I would take Amin. Some draft people who I follow have called Amin the best basketball athlete they have ever scouted. And I think he's such an incredible mover. He has like a 43-inch vert. He just like glides out on the floor, and and he's also how he's compared to Ivy. He's like 3 inches taller, and that's just a big advantage.
All right, let's go to 5. This is the Detroit Pistons. This is kind of how I thought the board would fall to me. And thus I'm going to take Jarris Walker at 5 for the Detroit Pistons. I'm hoping I'm hoping here that the shot like develops. Like I've got my Pistons hat on. I had to dust it off, but I'm hoping the shot develops because I'm envisioning Jalen Duren and Jarris Walker playing together a bunch. And I don't think that's going to be all that fun if Jarris Walker can't hit at least a corner 3. So, but I do think everything else that he does is such a great fit for a front court that needs to like boot out a bunch of guys that like really shouldn't be there. So going with Jarris Walker there at 5.
I feel like they're going to take either Cam Whitmore or Asar Thompson. And as somebody who hopes that the Thunder can trade up for either Jarris Walker or Taylor Hendricks, I hope the Pistons don't take Jarris Walker. That's my only input.
Same. Yeah, hoping. I think you gotta hope Jarris. If you're a Thunder fan, you gotta hope Jarris gets past 5. I mean, Jarris is in the spot on my board. I don't think this is a bad pick at all. But I just, we'll see how it goes. Detroit has a hole there. He would be really fun, I think, with Cade and Ivy and playing off of Duren a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad pick at all. I just don't think I hope they don't do it. Sorry, Aidan, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I like the fit too. They've been trying to like play Isaiah Stewart as like a stretch 4, and it has not panned out. I think Jarris fits really well there. He can do some short roll passing off of Cade and Ivy. But yeah, hopefully he can shoot, or else it might be rough initially.
That's a spot that we've talked about moving up to. Other teams maybe looking at 5. There just seems to be guys that really would fit there in that range. I don't know that Detroit's going to move out of that spot. All right, 6. We're going back to Spenser here with the Orlando Magic.
Man, I was expecting to be deciding between Asar Thompson and Anthony Black here. And it's maybe a little early for Anthony Black, but I do think Orlando could use a connector like him. But I have to go with Cam Whitmore. Highest upside on the board by at least a considerable amount. I mean, you could argue Asar Thompson is a similar upside, I guess. But Whitmore, guy with a lot of shooting potential, a lot of bursts, a lot of athleticism, probably an underrated defender. I think, was not serviced too well by his freshman year at Villanova. And I think that, he had a rough year, was playing for a different head coach than he had committed to. It was kind of just a brand new experience for everyone there after Jay Rhett retired. But yeah, I think you have to go Whitmore here to Orlando, even though you've got a bit of a clog of forwards with Paolo and Franz there, obviously. But I think Cam's probably a 3, and you just try to make it work. I think that's what I would do. And then Orlando does have the 11th pick, and at that pick I would be targeting a point guard like a Kaysen Wallace or like a Kobe Buffkin if he's still there. But I think you go highest upside here and take Cam Whitmore at 6.
Interesting. I have yet to see him. I just haven't seen him mocked there much. I see more Asar.
I don't think people are expecting Cam Whitmore to get to 6. I mean, I agree with you. I haven't seen it a ton of places, but Cam Whitmore's been talked about at 4 some. Certainly it's been talked to a little bit with Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
But he could fall to 6. I thought it was interesting. He was, Sam Vecini released his draft guide today, and he was at number 3 ahead of Brandon Miller on Sam's draft guide.
Brandon, what do you think about Whitmore to Orlando?
Yeah, I think if this scenario were to happen and Jarris goes at 5, I think that they would jump on Whitmore. I think that the Pistons at 5 are probably taking Whitmore if the Rockets don't. I do think the Rockets will take him in. Then I think it'll go Whitmore at 5. And I think that Orlando will go with Sarr at 6. But if they have the choice of Whitmore and Asar, I mean, I think that they jump on Whitmore for sure.
All right,
and then there's a world where Detroit takes Asar too.
Yeah. That would be sick if the Twins were to go back to back.
I think the issue with Asar to Orlando is the shooting, right? And it's similar with Anthony Black, I guess. But maybe even more pronounced with Asar because I'm not totally sure that Asar can be their point guard, like their primary, primary offensive engine type of guy in the way that Anthony Black probably could. But I think Orlando needs spacing. I mean, we've talked about Grady and Jordan Hawkins on this podcast being fits there before. And Cam gives you that little bit more upside in that department.
Is Orlando just praying that Amen falls to them? Is he like the perfect player to take as their one?
Other than the shooting, but yeah, like that would be, if they could get somebody that athletic, that dynamic, and maybe they even look to move up, who knows? But yeah, Amen would be an interesting fit there for sure because they've been looking for a point guard for so long. Is their last good point guard like Jameer Nelson? I mean, Fultz is pretty good. Fultz is pretty good, but he's not.
I was going to say, Fultz.
He's never going to make an all-star team. Like they need you need even if you're trying to win the title, presumably, at some point down the line, you need in today's NBA, you need to have a legit point guard, and it's been a while since they've had one.
All right, I'm excited about 7. Brandon, we're going to you for the Indiana Pacers.
I truly think they'll be deciding between Jarris Walker and Taylor Hendricks here because I think they'd like a 4 in the front court next to Miles Turner. They got Tyrese, they got Benedict Mathurin. I think a 4 is perfect. So I would normally go either Jarris or Taylor here. Jarris is gone. I don't think that they would pass up the upside with Asar Thompson, though. I think if Asar were to fall into their laps at 7, like it has here, I think they'd pick him. And this might kind of course correct to leave one of the two of Taylor Hendricks and Jarris Walker later on. So, yeah, I'll go Asar Thompson here.
Very interesting. Spenser, what were the odds of him not taking Taylor Hendricks there?
Well, I think this is just a ploy from Brandon to make sure that
I'm smelling it. I'm smelling it. Yeah,
I'm clocking this from a mile away, Brandon. I don't know. No, I'm kind of kidding. Like I think Asar's a decent pick here, or a good pick. Who are their building blocks, right? Like they've got Halliburton and I guess Mathurin, you would say, is a building block given where they took him in the draft last year. I think adding another dynamic guy to their backcourt is a good idea. I think Hendricks would have been a good fit too, but upside wise, yeah, I think I would agree that Asar gives them more.
All right.
I like the fit of Asar. I'll just kind of comment. I like the fit of Asar too, because Mathurin is, or at least last year, he was horrible on defense, and I feel like Asar can bring some size on the wing and some defense, because Mathurin, he's like what 6'5" maybe, and I feel like they kind of need like a true wing too. Tyrese is such an amazing passer. I feel like he Asar, Mathurin could really thrive in transition too, which would be super exciting.
Andrew Nembhard, another guy that was kind of emerged for them last year as a rookie and looks like I don't know if he's a core piece, but he's a keeper, at least for the short term on the wing.
Yeah. I like Isaiah Jackson too.
Man,
we were fans. We were fans a couple years back, Isaiah Jackson. All right, we're going to Washington Wizards. Aidan, where are we going with Washington Wizards?
This is a tough one. I think I'm not a huge fan of Anthony Black, personally. I think at this pick, I think I'm gonna take Kaysen Wall, or no.
Oh,
I'm gonna take Taylor Hendricks, I think.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going guard. You don't like any of the guards enough to take them there at 8.
I don't think any of them are lead ball handlers, which is, I presume, which is what they want. And I can't see into the future, but did you guys get a story about how they want to go into like a Thunder style rebuild? I feel like they would just take the best player on their board.
I like it.
I like it as well. Aiden's like, nah, you can't handle it. You can't handle it. You're not coming here, son. Sorry.
Hendricks is my guy. Like that.
I love sticking to the guns.
Hendricks has been my guy.
You just ruined Brandon's night, Aiden.
Yeah.
There is no way Hendricks is going to fall to the Thunder, and in this one, we're not going to do any trades. But I will say, I think that the most realistic trades for the Thunder are the Wizards at 8, the Jazz at 9, and a little bit less so with the Jazz, just because they have 16 as well, and then the Mavs at 10. But I really like the fit with the Wizards at 8 because, like Aidan said, they want a lead ball handler, but they probably go best available, but they don't have any future draft picks. And if they're wanting to go Thunder style, that means collect all draft picks. And if Will Dawkins and Winger are of that Sam Presti mindset, and Sam Presti calls up and Taylor Hendricks or Jarris Walker is there, and they're offering 12 and a future first, maybe that's the deal that gets done. If we're looking at like kind of realistic deals, I think for the Thunder, I think that's where it could possibly happen because they're going to have their choice of guard still at 12.
Yeah, I agree. And it seemed, I think going back to Aiden's pick of Hendricks, that if they're going down that road, Porzingis might be on the move, and if Kuzma opts out, like there are minutes in the front court that they could get him immediately. If they go down that road, I think Hendricks would be a very interesting player in Washington.
Hendricks is awesome.
Yeah, we have touted Taylor Hendricks quite a bit on this podcast, and we will continue to. I will say this is where the draft would get really fun if Oklahoma City gets up there to 8. Because it would seem to be for maybe a falling Jarris Walker or a guy like Hendricks. I think these two guys, they just clearly fit a position and a skill set that would be able to play pretty much immediately. Maybe not start immediately, I don't know, but play immediately. And I think both guys would be very interesting. Would be excited for both. All right, 9. I've been left with the guards of my choosing for the Utah Jazz. I'm going to go just with the bigger guy in Anthony Black. I totally agree with Aidan. Not in love with the loose handle, but I do love the wingspan. As much as I wish it was more like Scoot Henderson, it's not, but it's not terrible. He's a big guard. I like the passing, the defense, the ability to control the game speed wise. Big fan. Love the way he reads the game as well. Quick processor. I'll take Anthony Black for the Utah Jazz. I think he'd be able to play multiple positions if they need him to right away, but long term, I think they could give him the ball.
Yeah, I like it. I think we talked about this in the last podcast, so we were not huge fans of Anthony Black as a fit on the Thunder, but we were, at least moderately sized fans of him in general. Their mileage may vary a little bit, but I think that in a situation like Utah where he can come in, play with other like legit pros like Lauri Markkanen, you got another awesome rim protector in Walker Kessler, like you've got a chance to have a really good defense there for a long time. And I think that, they've got enough, the spacing with Black and Kessler might get a little bit complicated. But I think they've got enough shooting on the wings where they can build the team around kind of that issue and have 3 other good shooters out there that you can make it work.
All right, let's go to 10, Dallas Mavericks. This is back to you, Spencer.
Yeah. This is so interesting because it's like, is Dallas going to be making this pick? Probably not, right? I just have to go with the highest guy left on my board, and that's Grady Dick. I think Grady would be with his level of shooting is a great option to play off of Luka and Kyrie. The spacing that he would bring, his movement shooting. And then I think his passing is really good as well. The reason why he's falling to 10 here, at least to 10, is there are some concerns about his defense long term. To me, like he's a big guy, 6'7", 6'8". I don't think you're going to be able to bully him. But you could throw some questions out there about like a team with trying to build around Luka and Kyrie. Are they really going to take another forward that's not a plus defender? And maybe that's one reason why they wouldn't do this. But I think that offensively, it's a really clean fit. And yeah, he's just simply the best player that I've got on my board here.
I think they'll go Lively. I think they got to have defense and they got to have a big. To me, I feel like the Mavs are hoping it's either going to be Jarris Walker, Taylor Hendricks, and if neither of them, then it's Lively. And I think those are the only 3 guys they would pick. Other than that, I think they would try to trade down or trade out. Personally, that's my feeling on it.
My thought is like, can't you get like a defense first center? Like, couldn't you just go trade for Jakob Poeltl or something, and then draft somebody with a high upside with a 10th pick?
I mean, I would, but
yeah,
I don't know. They don't really have any assets though either, besides I guess Hardy.
That's fair. It's a good point.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's like a trade down is coming.
Yeah. Trade down could happen. Trade down to 12 could happen.
Mm-hmm.
pick up a few seconds, shed a contract maybe.
Brandon, if we were to go up to 10 here, given how this draft has gone, who would you hope they take?
If they go up to 10 here, I think the only ones that you would trade up for would be Grady Dick or Cason Wallace. But at this point, it feels like one of those is going to fall to you. I would think that the Magic would probably take Grady at 11 because of the shooting. Maybe you just wait at 12 for Cason Wallace. So I feel like if you're going to move up to 10, it would probably be for Grady Dick, given how this has fallen. You hope that Hendricks or Walker is there, but if not, I think it'd be Grady.
All right, going to 11, Orlando Magic. Where are you going with this, Brandon?
With Grady gone, I think that like Spenser said earlier, they need shooting desperately. I guess Jordan Hawkins. I don't personally, have him ranked quite this high. Not too much farther down. I think, given the way the board is, I think they'd look at Jordan Hawkins, maybe Keontae George, but I think they would go Hawkins here.
I'm a big Hawkins guy. Aidan, how do you like how do you like Jordan Hawkins?
Not that big of a fan, to be honest. He's definitely an incredible shooter. He's the best movement shooter in the class by far. He can really like contort his body in the air and come off screens like that. But he's only 6'4". I think he can only guard ones, if that. Like he's not the most athletic. He can't really do much inside the arc, and in my opinion, either. His finishing was so. But he's a really good shooter, and with the Magic, I mean, yeah, he definitely fits well. I bet they wish that they could have gotten Grady, but he fits what they need well. I don't think I would take him this high, but I could see it being a justifiable pick.
All right, 12. This is the Thunder, and it's going to the guest. Aidan, where are we going with number 12?
Yeah, I was really hoping Grady would fall here, so now I'm kind of in a conundrum here. This is tough because there's just like a big cluster of players that I'm not really sure who to choose. I guess I would take Cason Wallace here at 12 for the Thunder.
Yes, there you go. Love it.
Just broke my heart, Aidan.
Brandon's back in.
Right pick. That is the right pick. I would love for Cason Wallace to follow 12 for the Thunder, honestly.
Yeah. He's such a good. He's so good on the defensive end. He's not that tall, but he's really strong. He's built really well. I could see how maybe it would be weird positionally because the Thunder still wouldn't have like a proper 4. I know that Giddey's like 6'8", but he's not up to snuff as a 4 yet. But I feel like Cason is I think I heard Brandon like bring this up, but I think he's a better Dort, and I think that would be really valuable on this team.
Yeah, I'm all in on Cason Wallace. Like you said, the hope is that you get a 4 in this draft: Jarris Walker, Taylor Hendricks. In a trade up, maybe in the perfect world, Hendricks falls down to 12. I like Leonard Miller as a kind of a fallback. But if Cason Wallace was there, I just think he's too good to pass up. And I think that he could fit, he could lead the bench. He could close with the starters. I think he just fits really, really well. The Thunder want, at this point, if you can get a guy that's a two-way player, he can be elite defensively and still be really good. And, he's a guy that, I think he's underrated as a playmaker and a passer and a scorer and a shooter. I just think he's got a good all-around game. And yeah, I agree with Aidan. His one kind of downfall is his height. but that's kind of the only reason he'd even be available here. If he was taller, I think that he's certainly a top pick. And he's got a 6'9" wingspan, so he can kind of overcome some of that as well. Big fan.
Aidan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How far away, like taking out the Thunder context of this, just like pure talent, how far away do you think Kaysen and Leonard Miller are? Like, are those close players to you?
They would probably be in the same tier for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think I've made no secret that I prefer Miller to Wallace, which is, I get the Wallace pick too.
Yeah,
but I know some people don't think Leonard Miller's that good. Like Jonathan Gavoni's mock today had Miller like 26.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually choosing between Wallace, Miller, and somebody else, and Miller also would fit really well on this team. He's like an amazing play finisher around the rim, but I just think Wallace is his archetype is more valuable as a stout perimeter guy who can take some spot up threes, who finishes around the rim really well, and I feel like he's the type of player who can really complement high usage stars like Shea, for example.
Ryan, who would you go with here?
I probably would go Leonard Miller more so for the minutes that seem to be available right away, especially if he's like really good. But given how the board has fallen, I think it's a more than sensible pick to take Wallace here for all the reasons you guys have said. I like him a lot, and maybe he's someone that makes Dort. I think Dort is like more entrenched in this starting unit and like in this core maybe than others, but maybe he's just so good that like he kind of makes that trade more possible, I guess. And not that you can't have both, but like I think Kaysen's like upside is like clears Dort. So I don't know where that leaves a guy that's like meant to be your ace defender if there's a better version of him on the team.
And that makes sense. I definitely agree that Kaysen is an upgrade over Dort. But I guess my thought process is like, would you rather upgrade over Dort or upgrade over like Dort or like Arkansas Jalen Williams or
right.
like JRE? Like there's, which is what I would view Leonard Miller as, short term and long term, frankly.
And if we have hopes of Hendricks or Walker as like a 4 that maybe moves someone to the bench, like maybe Leonard's like your, store brand version of that.
Yeah. And let's say they take Taylor Hendricks or Jarris Walker or Leonard Miller, any of these 4s, and they move Dort to the bench. Well, then, Jalen Williams, J-Dub is kind of your Dort replacement at that point because he's going to be guarding the other team's best player night to night, at least on the perimeter.
The Thunder defense could be wild if you got Lou Dort, Taysom Wallace, Kenrich Williams, J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren out there, soaking up a lot of minutes. That could be a lot of fun. I'm just really high on Taysom Wallace, like his overall talent, ceiling, upside. I have him 6 overall on my board. Like I am really, really high. So to me, it's just like a value talent pick. Even if it's not the best fit, I'd have a hard time turning Taysom Wallace on. But I'd be very happy with Leonard Miller. I'd be happy with Kobe Buffkin. I'd be fairly happy with Bilal Coulibaly, Derek Lively. Sorry, I'm just like those guys, like realistically being at 12 without a trade up. There's a lot of good options. Now, there's some other guys who'll be there that, have been mocked to the Thunder that I would not be happy with. But all those guys,
like Amen Thompson.
I took like that. I totally agree with you, Brandon, in that like the value is there. There are probably teams that have Kaysen as like a top 8 guy. He's very, very good. Played, what would you say, Spenser? Like, I mean, he played decent competition. He played in the SEC. It was a good.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he shared the backcourt with Severe Wheeler, who's like a veteran undersized guard for most of the year. The concerning thing with him is that when Wheeler was out of the lineup late in the year, Wallace was not great, at least offensively. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he was not great over the last 10, 15 games, whatever it was. So that's a concern. But yeah, I mean, the SEC was a really good league. And he definitely saw some good competition.
I agree with Spenser in that I don't think he's a lead ball handler, which is why I'm comfortable taking him here, because he can play off of Shea and J-Dub and Josh, who could handle more of those responsibilities.
Totally agree. All right, 13, the Raptors. The Raptors made a coaching hire that I felt like signaled more of a long-term approach. Love the hire, but I do think it signals like maybe we're taking a step back and we're going to start building something different. So with that in mind, I'm going Bilal here at 13 for the Toronto Raptors. This is with the thought of Van Vliet moving on and there being a lot of minutes, a lot of opportunity to make mistakes and to trial and error and to figure it out between those first few months for Bilal. So that's what I'm taking here at 13 with Toronto. What do you think about that, Brandon?
Coulibaly is a very Raptors-y player. Like, everybody talks about how he's a very Thunder-y player, which I do think, he does fit a lot of the Thunder check boxes, but the Raptors as well. He's long, he's young, upside. He's a defender. One of the comparisons he gets a lot is OG. So, obviously that's, top end. That's what you really, really hope for. But he makes a lot of sense to the Raptors. And, who knows if he's actually got a promise. There's a lot of talk, but everybody thinks if he does have a promise, it's either OKC or the Raptors. Although the Jazz are looking at him at number 9, which is crazy. I'm not saying that's bad or anything like that. And actually that'd be great for the Thunder because it drops other people down. But yeah, I think this pick makes a lot of sense.
All right, let's go 14, the Pelicans. This is Spenser.
Oh man. I'm going Kobe Buffkin here. Somebody that I was not a really big fan of. In fact, last time we talked, I kind of, I basically said I didn't get it. And I still don't totally love the fit with the Thunder for a lot of the same reasons that I don't love it with Kaysen Wallace. But I think he's a guy who's, we saw a picture with him standing next to Shea. He's basically the same size as Shea height-wise. He's not as built yet, obviously. But he can score a little bit, right? Like he can get to a jumper, he can get to his mid-range. He's a good three-point shooter. He is an elite finisher, at least at the college level. I believe it was over 70% at the rim this year. He's just a really interesting player. He's a good defender. Actually, I have him above Kaysen because of, a little bit more height. Not as much length. Wallace's wingspan is actually a little bit longer, even though he's a couple inches shorter. But I like more of what Kobe Buffkin brings offensively, and I think he brings enough defensively to kind of overcome that. And I think, especially for a team, like I mentioned earlier with the Pelicans, is a team that's getting really expensive. And so maybe you bring in Buffkin, he has a great rookie year, and then you feel like you can try to move off of CJ's salary after this next season. That could be something that they look at.
Brandon, where do you have Buffkin on your? Do you have him as a lottery guy on your board?
Yeah, I have him at 13, I believe. Yeah, I like Buffkin a lot. He's he just doesn't have any weaknesses. And, you know, we talked about it off air, but he finishes 71% at the rim. He's a great finisher. He's bigger, I think, than people thought. He's 6'5". I think his shooting, his scoring is a little underrated. He can just kind of do a little bit of everything. He's a pretty solid defender. So I'm big on two-way players. You know, you see in the playoffs, if you're wanting guys that aren't going to get played off the court, you need to be able to contribute, you know, offensively and defensively. That's becoming more and more valuable. And to get a guy like Buffkin, I think at this point in the draft, who's a two-way player, you know, even if he doesn't have, you know, superstar upside, anything like that, I think he's just going to be a good, solid role player. He's a smart player, and I like him. I do.
Aidan, where do you have Buffkin? Do you like him? Are you in or you out?
Yeah, I don't have a definitive board, but I would take him anywhere between picks 10 and 14. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this fit.
All right, very good. That's 1 through 14. Let's read off what we had. Number 1, Victor Wembanyama, no shock. 2, Brandon Miller. 3, Scoot Henderson. 4, Amin Thompson. 5, Jarris Walker. 6, Cam Whitmore. 7, Asar. Remind me, Brandon, you took Asar for Indiana.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay. 8, Taylor Hendricks. That was not a bit. I genuinely forgot for a second. 8, Taylor Hendricks to the Wizards. 9, Anthony Black to the Jazz. 10, Grady Dick to the Mavericks. 11, Jordan Hawkins to the Orlando Magic. Cason Wallace, our guest Aidan, giving the Thunder Cason Wallace. Bilal Coulibaly to the Toronto Raptors, and then Kobe Buffkin was our last pick in the lottery to the New Orleans Pelicans. I want to get one name from each of us as an honorable mention to the lottery, someone that definitely could have gone in those last couple picks that wasn't. I will start. We mentioned him before, but I would not be surprised at all to see Leonard Miller picked in those top 14. The Thunder being a team that could absolutely take Leonard Miller if he's there. I've been seeing Leonard Miller even higher than like in that 10-11 range. So very, very interested in Miller. It feels like he's a riser. We're a week out. So Leonard Miller is my honorable mention. Spenser, what about you?
Okay, well, you stole mine. So
I figured I figured I'd steal somebody's there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would definitely be Leonard Miller for me. In fact, I mean, I'm almost ready to just like declare that I think this is the pick. Like I would be, like I have no right to be this confident, but I just feel very strongly that Leonard Miller is going to be on the Thunder.
That's exciting.
I'm excited to be burned by that. But just what he can do. I mean, like you and Aidan have talked about him already and have listed a bunch of his strengths. He's also really good in transition and on the break as a decision maker in that mold. I think he would be immediately either the best or the second best, a pure athlete on the team. Super high motor as a rebounder, which is perfect next to Chet, especially in matchups where he's facing a bigger center. But I will give someone else, probably will be stealing Brandon's guy here to keep the tradition going. I will shout out Derek Lively as another name, who, you know, Nikola Jokic just won the title in super dominant fashion, and who knows how long it's going to be before anyone can realistically stop him. But if it's going to be somebody that can slow him down, it's going to be someone who probably looks like Derek Lively, who's 7'1", 7'2", 7'7" wingspan, and can really move his feet, really smart, great instincts. Like if you're trying to slow down Nikola Jokic in the Western Conference playoffs, having a guy like Derek Lively is a good bet to take, I think, especially late in the lottery.
Brandon, really quick, Miller. Spenser mentioned Miller would be the second best pure athlete. He's talking about right behind Micic, right?
Don't get me started on Micic. This talk could go really, really long if you get me started on Micic.
Where would Micic go in this draft?
If he was like 21, or if he is currently 29?
Current Micic in all his glory.
I think he would go first round, even though he's 29 years old. Late first round, maybe like 30th pick. But no, he's a really, really good player. I don't know if he's going to come over this year. He does have NBA representation now. As far as an agent goes, the stars are lining up. Whether it's as a trade piece or as like the sixth man leading this bench, Micic and Isaiah Joe and Kenrich Williams, Usman Jang, and Bilal Coulibaly leading the Thunder bench to the promised land. I'm here for it.
Oh gosh, I'm so glad.
Out.
Yeah, Brandon, go ahead with your honorable mention.
Yeah, so you guys took my two guys, especially. I do think that Derek Lively at this point is going to go in the lottery. He's got him and Coulibaly have all the buzz right now. They're the kind of the two most hyped guys right now. I'm going to say, now I personally would not take him in the lottery, but I will not be surprised to see him go in the lottery, and that's Jalen Hood-Schifino. He's popping up on some legit mock drafts, like Javoni. I know the ESPN one was Jeremy Wheeler Javoni. They kind of collaborate, but then I think he was on Jonathan Wasserman's as well. Like I think he went 9 to the Jazz and one, and he was like 11th. I don't know. I could be mixing those up, but he's top 11 in 2 of them. And their drafts are typically based on intel and things that they've heard. So obviously, some teams must be high on Jalen Hood-Schifino. He's a big guard, like 6'5" as a point guard. Really, great feel for the game, smart player, really good defender. The shot is a work in progress, the efficiency work in progress. But I guess teams believe in it. But yes, there's some teams high on him, so don't be surprised if he crashes the lottery.
All right, Aidan, you've been doing a ton of really cool player profiles for the website. I'm very interested to hear your honorable mention because I feel like you probably have a few.
Yeah, so I think my guy would be somebody who's actually fallen in mocks. I saw him in ESPN's today, I think at 32, so out of the first round. He has like some knee problems, which could be a factor in that. But I would be interested in Bryce Sensabaugh, like in the top half of the first round at like anywhere between 11 and 15. I get that, like, on the surface, some people might think he's kind of like a black hole in offense, doesn't really pass. He's kind of like one of those throwback, just pure scorers. But he was just so good as a scorer that it's kind of hard to ignore. Like every statistical comp for college players his age, scoring wise, he's like up there with like the Trae Youngs, the Michael Beasleys. And I mean, Beasley wasn't that good in the NBA, but he was amazing in college. And I think Bryce can just score so easily and I think he could score, I mean, it's on the higher end, but I think he could score like 25 a game for like a few years if he hits close to his peak. And I think that's kind of hard to pass up on. Anywhere from like 11 to 20.
Spenser, he shot 40.5% from 3 on 4.5 attempts a game this year at Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, his shot making is great. Like he's one of the better shot makers in this class, I think. My concern with Bryce has been like the space creation. Which is something we saw last year with another Ohio State guy, Malachi Branham. Different players, but like guys that just kind of became like tough shot makers. And like, I think that, it says something to me if you are not able to create space to get open shots at the college level, because then it's like, okay, how are you, you're going to be in some trouble at the NBA. And I'm not saying Bryce can't do that, but I do think that's one reason why he has not been, a consensus lottery level guy. I see the upside because the shooting is really good. He's got pretty good size. I don't know how he is as a defensive prospect. If I'm not mistaken, he's suspect there. But the shot making is there, and that's arguably the most important trait in today's NBA. So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely bad on defense, and he doesn't have the quickest first step or anything, but he's like, at least Ohio State had him at 235 pounds, which is
he's a big guy,
really big. I think he's pretty strong, and I think he could. It would be great for him if he could like shed 10 or so pounds and keep that strength, and hopefully, he gets like a couple percentage points quicker. But yeah, he didn't shoot a ton of attempts at the rim, but he shot 49% on over 152 point attempts outside of the rim, which is like unprecedented numbers. That's like KD stuff, and only 18% of those were assisted on. So he's self-creating. I mean, maybe not in the most ideal way, but he's self-creating his own shots like 80% of the time, and he's hitting them at 50% of the time. That's those are just unprecedented stats that are at least for me, they're kind of hard to ignore.
A lot of those are tough shots, right? Like with a hand in his face, or they're not open shots.
No, he's very good at shooting over contests. Like he shoots like these crazy like 15-foot faders that take this super high arc, and they just kind of roll in the basket like all the time. It's
that late teens range. Like it feels like a guy that as soon as like Golden State picks him, everyone freaks out that like, oh my gosh, how did this guy fall to them? Because he is a very talented scorer, and like Spenser mentioned, like that kind of rules the day. I'm sure that will be something that translates at least to some level in the NBA. So yeah, I'm a believer after Aidan pitching that. Those are some, legit impressive scoring numbers.
Yeah, and I think the Lakers pick at 19 or 20. I wouldn't be surprised if they, because I'm pretty sure he went there to work out, and I wouldn't be surprised if they chose him and he has some random 30-point scoring off the bench, and then he's like the next mainstream guy. Everyone,
the next Austin Reeves.
Yes, but Austin's good though. So I mean,
Lakers. It's just funny being in Oklahoma that like Austin Reeves has become like Timothy Chalamet was wearing an Austin Reeves jersey the other day.
I saw that.
Lakers pick at 17. Lakers pick at 17. Miami at 18. Golden State 19. Like those are all teams that are well established and could easily insert scoring off the bench with a wing guy like that. All right, guys, this was fun. Lottery mock draft in the books. Aidan, we can't say thank you enough for, first of all, the work you're doing on the website. It's phenomenal. Everybody go check it out. And for joining us on the podcast, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I had a great time talking to some prospects. Super excited for the draft to come up soon.
Absolutely. We'll be back to talk about the draft on draft night. Probably get some Twitter spaces fired up and a podcast to react to it after the fact. Brandon and Spenser, you guys know, you guys already have a first round promise from me always and forever. Thank you boys very much for the time.
Absolutely. And also want to add thank you, Aidan, for choosing Case and Wallace. That's a great debut. That's a great debut to the Daily Thunder podcast. Well done.
You lost.
We got to bring a fifth on to break the tie because Ryan and I both said Leonard Miller. So
yeah, we'll see about that. Aidan totally lost Brandon when he took Hendricks to the Wizards and then reeled him right back in with Kaysen. So well done. Right. Fair play there by Aidan. Everybody, thanks for listening. Enjoy the draft. We will we'll be back to discuss it. All things Thunder draft. Who knows? It might be a really, really exciting night for the Thunder. And we'll be back to talk about it. So thanks so much for listening. This is the Daily Thunder Podcast.